got to ask you, with Notre Dame coming up and it being the biggest point spread that we've seen in 7 years at the college football playoff, do Tide fans have any fear, any lack of confidence in this one?
Well, you know, I haven't seen a lot of it, if there is any. And this Alabama-Notre Dame thing goes back a long time, as you and I both know. A game between two of college football's most traditional powerhouse programs. Kelly's got Notre Dame looking pretty good this year, a good quarterback in Ian Book. They've got a couple of tight ends that make me nervous. Now, we're not talking about Kyle Pitts type tight ends, but nonetheless, good, solid, big targets at tight end. And I think that's where Alabama's going to have to really man up on defense, is being able to cover those tight ends across the middle on the short passes, the way that Kelly and Book like to utilize those tight ends.
Yeah, in particular, Mares is just a freshman, but he's kind of built in the mold and has shown the receiving skills of a Zach Ertz type Notre Dame tight end. That's not necessarily burner down the field, guy that's going to be Kyle Pitts from the Jimmy Graham mold of almost wide receiver, but more the traditional tight end coming off the inline stance all the time, pretty much. But those guys have made a ton of money in the NFL. So that would be one threat right there. And I got to think, Ricky, had Notre Dame followed up their first performance against Clemson with a win at home with a better showing, not necessarily a win, but a better showing in the rematch with Trevor Lawrence and the three defensive starters back for Clemson, that people would be taking them more seriously, because they were getting a lot of respect up until that ACC championship game.
Yep, no doubt about it. I think that, you know, in the day and age that we live in, perception is reality, and people saw them struggle against Clemson in that second matchup. And I believe that that absolutely has a lot to do with the fact that Alabama fans don't seem to be too awful nervous about this upcoming meeting between Alabama and the Fighting Irish and Notre Dame.
Is there any kind of preference in regard to the next game in meeting either Clemson or Ohio State?
I'll kind of lean a little bit personal here. I feel like we still owe Ohio State one. You know, we had that brain fart episode where we completely forgot that we could run the ball the last time we played Ohio State in the playoffs. A lot of big talk coming out from up north. So I personally would like to see us get that matchup with the Buckeyes and take care of business there.
Yeah, that rematch should have actually come the next year when Ohio State was a consensus #1 most of the season, tripped up against Michigan State. Alabama tripped up against Ole Miss, but they were given an entryway to Atlanta in the SEC championship game, but the Buckeyes' loss cost them more. And instead, it was Michigan State and an inferior roster taking on Alabama. I think that would have been the, you know, both teams were NFL teams, basically. Would have loved to have seen that rematch. But we'll possibly get one later here, or it's against Clemson, of course. Got Ricky Green on the line, TideTalkSports.com. Ricky, we appreciate you stopping by so much. Have the rest of your holiday with your family. Appreciate that. And look forward to a possible good national semifinal here against Notre Dame.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to hearing Jaden Roberts' announcement this afternoon. Lots to be excited about for Alabama fans. And, Mark, I appreciate you having me on, buddy.